Welcome back, everybody. This is lesson 7 of week 7 for our reading comprehension unit. Today we are going to read chapter 7, Hundreds of Wishes. Chapter 7, Hundreds of Wishes. June came with its long, endless rains. Day after day, the sky was grey as rain spattered against the windows. Rain dripped steadily from the leaves of the maple tree. Soon everything in the room smelt musty. Even the sheets felt clammy. Sadako grew pale and listless. Only her parents and Masahiro were allowed to visit her. The bamboo class sent a Kekeshi doll to cheer her up. Sadako liked the wooden doll's wistful smile and the red roses painted on its kimono. The doll stood next to the golden crane on Sadako's bedside table. Mrs. Sasaki was worried because Sadako didn't eat enough. One evening, she brought a surprise wrapped in a furoshiki bundle. It contained all of Sadako's favourite foods, an egg roll, chicken and rice, pickled plums and bean cakes. Sadako propped herself up against the pillows and tried to eat, but it was no use. Her swollen gums hurt so much that she couldn't chew. Finally, Sadako pushed the good things away. Her mother's eyes were bright, as if she was going to cry. "I'm such a turtle!" she burst out. She was angry with herself for making her mother sad. She also knew that the Sasaki family had no extra money for expensive food. Tears stung Sadako's eyes, and she quickly brushed them away. "It's all right," Mrs. Sasaki said soothingly. She cradled Sadako in her arms. "You'll be better soon. Maybe when the sun comes out again." Sadako leaned against her mother and listened to her read from a book of poems. When Masahiro came, Sadako was calmer and happier. He told her news from school and ate some of the special dinner. Before Masahiro left, he said, "Oh, I almost forgot. Ieiji sent a present." He dug into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled piece of silver paper. "Here," he said, giving it to his sister. "Ieiji said this is for another crane." Sadako sniffed the paper. It smells like candy," she said. "I hope the gods like chocolate." The three burst out laughing. It was the first time Sadako had laughed in days. It was a good sign. Perhaps the golden crane's magic was beginning to work. She smoothed out the paper and folded a bird. 541? But she was too tired to make more. Sadako stretched out on the bed and closed her eyes. As Mrs. Sasaki tiptoed out of the room, she whispered a poem she used to say when Sadako was little. "O flock of heavenly cranes, cover my child with your wings." And that's it for today's chapter. It's a very short chapter today. The next couple of chapters are a little bit longer, and we're coming towards the end of the story now. What I thought I'd do today, before we kind of wrap up on the comprehension questions, is just look at some items that appeared in the story that are specific to Sadako's Japanese culture. So the first one is this thing called a furoshiki cloth, and it's the thing that Sadako's mother, or the cloth that Sadako's mother brings her food to her while she's in hospital. And you can see here some pictures of them here. They're usually kind of beautifully wrapped very carefully. The idea is that it's kind of used instead of wrapping paper, so it's also kind of reusable. But in Japanese culture, it's very important, not just about what the gift is that you're giving to somebody, but also how it's presented, how it's wrapped. So a lot of thought goes into selecting the right kind of wrapping, and also making sure that it looks beautiful, but also wrapping it very carefully. The other thing that's mentioned is these things called Kekeshi dolls, and these are a traditional Japanese doll that's carved from wood, and they're very simple. The ones up here in the left-hand top corner here, these are kind of the maybe more modern style that you see quite often, particularly with this kind of bowl haircut where it's kind of, the bangs are kind of cut very straight across, and it's sort of like a helmet almost. But there's also these other kind of thinner types, which are probably even more traditional. And they actually inspired, if you've ever played a game on a Nintendo Wii or DS, they're kind of Mii avatars. So the creator who created these Mii avatars down here was inspired by these Kekeshi dolls. And they're one of the dolls is delivered to Sadako while she's in hospital, and it's from her bamboo class to cheer her up. Here are your questions for today for lesson 7. So firstly, explain why you think Sadako feels bad after she pushes away the food. So that's the food that her mother brings her when she's in hospital. Number 2, Sadako forced herself to eat some of the special food. Why? And what does this show us about her? So think about her character and what does the act of forcing herself to eat the special food while she's sick tell us about her. Number 3, what does Sadako mean when she says, "I'm such a turtle"? Where else in the story has she used this metaphor? So firstly, you need to say, what does this metaphor mean, particularly in Sadako's context? But then also, where else in the story has she used this idea of being a turtle? Now, she does say it to somebody in a previous chapter, so you'll need to go back either in the slides or in the videos to find that. Or you might be able to remember who she says it to and why she says it to them. Number 4, why does Sadako joke, "I hope the gods like chocolate"? Think about what you know about the legend of the Senbatsu, that's the legend of the 1,000 paper cranes. I discussed this in a previous video, or if you already know, that's great. Otherwise, you can look it up as well. And lastly, number 5 is more of an activity. So today you're going to design, draw, and color a furoshiki that would use to wrap a gift for someone special. So that's the wrapping cloth. Think about your choice of symbols and images, and then briefly, in maybe 2 sentences, explain your design. So why you think it would be a special gift or a special wrapping, I should say, for somebody special in your life. Now, the furoshiki is like a square piece of cloth, so it's a square design to make sure that all your sides are equal. You've got 2 sets of parallel sides, all that stuff. And lastly, please don't forget to fill in your Super 6 template. We've only got about another week or so of this book to go, at which point I'll be collecting those and marking those. All right, thanks guys, and I look forward to talking to you in chapter 8. See you then, bye.